Alright, so we are back working on the Blazer, and today we are actually going to get some serious progress done, I hope. So, I got some 2x4. I got three 3-ish foot sticks. I think they're, yeah, almost 3 feet, so should be plenty for my 2 and then 1, so. And then in Colt's video, he's saying this piece right here from a Chevy Astro van, so I can put my oil filter back into underneath the motor and get rid of all of these hoses that are just in the way and annoying. So I'm going to throw this on right now. This was like, I don't know, $10 on Amazon or something, so it's super cheap and should be easy. And he said, because I would have totally done this backwards, but he said this side goes into the motor like that, which if he didn't tell me that, I would have definitely put it in backwards, or tried putting it in backwards. So it should just be an Allen key of some size. I think he said bigger than that. Yep, the 10 and 12. Okay. So just takes a size 10 Allen key and should be able to pull the thingy off, stick this in, and screw the oil filter onto it. So, in theory. So just take a 10mm Allen. Tighten that down. Because this is still the first oil change since we rebuilt the motor. We rebuilt the motor and went to Moab, so definitely needs an oil change. Heck yes. Alright, so it's been a minute since I last talked, but that's not gonna work. So I've been getting a little crazy with my CAD here, and yeah, so it's gonna come up 4 inches, out 4 inches, and right here it's actually gonna come out 6 inches with another piece out here and then come back. So it's a little funky looking, but I think it's gonna work. So I think it'll end up looking really cool. But now that I got the cardboard all figured out on how I need to cut it and everything, I'm gonna start cutting it out of the steel so I can get it, start tacking it in here and stuff. So okay, so it needs to go up at a 45 and sideways at a 45. So I need to do 2 different 45s, 45 degrees from each other. So I'm gonna do the first one, just the easy one to do here. And then off of this, it needs to be 45 again. I marked it 45 this way, so that'll be at a 45, and then off of this mark 45 down this side, so it'll come up and over at a 45 that way. Okay, so here's the first piece of the puzzle. 45 this way, 45 this way, 22.5 this way, 45 this way. So all of those angles add up to it going right here, 2 inches up, or 4 inches up and 4 inches over, and another piece at 22.5 will go right here, which will cause it to be at a 90 to this, because it needs to be a 45 to here, so it'll be straight.
Sounds good.
Makes sense in my head. So alright, so it's a new day, but as you can see, I think I've got something of an idea going here. Obviously this still needs some work, but comes up, forward, and as it comes up, it comes out. So I don't think it looks too bad. I think it looks pretty good, and you can see just how much clearance there is on everything here. So I think this is going to work as I want it to. See how much room there is. This is really close to full bump, if not full bump. So there's a ton of room, and you can just see how high that frame rail comes. So I think it's gonna look cool. I am going to need a different radiator that fits above the steering box. So I think I'm gonna get a radiator from a Jeep Cherokee and make that fit in here, because I think that'll fit the best. So I need to order one of those, but I'm gonna get this other side of the frame rail kind of cut out and tacked into place like this one, so I can see how it's gonna look with both frame rails in place and see if everything's still gonna work. So I'm gonna get the other frame rail cut out the same as this one and tacked into place like that, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so I got this other frame rail made, and I just tacked a crossbar in there like that. So right now this is at pretty much basically full bump, and the axle is not center right now. So I'm going to throw the tires back on and try to get the axle more in the center and more where ride height is going to be, so I can get some stuff figured out while it's at ride height. Alright, so I got the tires back on it, and I just threw the AC condenser. I just put it there just so I could set the hood down and just kind of visualize what it's going to look like. You know, you're never sure how these things are going to turn out when you're building them. And then once you finally get to see what it's going to look like when it's done, then you start to realize how cool it's going to be. I think it's going to be different. It's going to look way different than it did before, but I think it's going to be sweet. It's going to be strong, and something I'm pretty happy with is, look at that. Look, approach angle right there. So you can see the tire sticks out past the frame like 4 inches or so, which is sweet. And the frame rail itself is 4 inches higher. So the frame rail used to be down here, and now it's way up here, and back more, and the axle's forward more. So all of that combined gives this thing a really good approach angle. So, you know, and then back here, it's got a pretty dang good departure angle. It's basically 0. You know, the tire's basically right in line with the bumper, but I do plan on going 42s eventually, so then I'll have a little bit of a better departure angle then, but I'm really not too worried about it because it was way worse than that before. There was like a foot or more hanging off past the rear tire. Now it's basically right in line of it, and departure angle isn't as important as approach angle, so it'll be perfect for what this is, for what I'm trying to do with this thing. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty sweet. It's definitely different because the front is, you know, 4 inches squished because the frame rail's coming up a lot more. But so next thing I need to work on doing is actually getting the steering box mounted. I got to add something to the bottom of the frame here so I can put these bolts into it and get this bolt on. Right now it's just kind of held up with zip ties and some bolts that are kind of sitting there. And then I also need to get the track bar mounted, but I need to make this track bar at least 2 inches longer, or I mean 4 inches longer. It needs to be 4 inches longer because the frame rail is moved over 4 inches. Okay, so right here where the steering box mounts, it's not wide enough, so I've got this 2x2 quarter wall, and I'm going to cut it and put this underneath right there, and then that'll give me a good place to mount the steering box, and I need to build the track bar bracket off of this as well. So I'm gonna get this cut up to where it'll fit on there nicely, and then start working on the track bar bracket, which I have this from the first time I did these axles. This was the track bar bracket on the axle. So I'm going to cut this up and repurpose this and build it into the frame side track bar bracket. So we'll get this cut up first and put into place. Okay, so there it is. I ground it down a little just because I want it to look kind of more or less the same piece. So, but now I got the track bar cut out because I need to make it longer. I got my ends in here and I measured it out, so I need to cut a piece of 29 inches. So I'm going to cut a piece of that for the track bar and tack it in there. And then I got to work on mounting the coilovers, and then you can set it onto its own weight again. So I'm going to get this cut out and tacked into place, and then I can get rid of the ratchet strap. Alright, and there it is. I got that tacked in there. It does clear. It is pretty close, but I don't know. I think it'll be okay, so I guess we'll find out. But close the hood just to kind of. I think this thing is gonna look so cool when it's all done. So I got pretty much frame done and track bar. I really wanted to get it sitting on its own weight today, but I just don't have time. I gotta rebuild upper mounts and everything like that, so in the next video I'm hoping to get this thing back sitting on its own weight, and maybe even have steering in the next video. It depends on when that steering box Colt sent me gets here, but yeah, so that's gonna be the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this whole build process or rebuild process of the Blazer. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and it's gonna be better than it ever was. So stay tuned for the next one.